All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do a Bitcoin miner update. This is going to be a monthly edition. It's going to be a little bit of a special edition. I want to go through all of the Bitcoin miners' results for the month of September, but I also want to talk about a couple of bonus things. I want to talk about everybody's Hodl position. I want to talk about the difficulty level for Bitcoin mining. And I want to talk a little bit about the chart going into the halving. So an awful lot. I'll try and get through everything. Before I get going, I'm going to ask everybody if you could please do me a big favor and smash the like button. I'm going to set a goal for 400 likes. You guys have been doing an unbelievable job of reaching our goal. It's helping the channel out a lot, so I really appreciate it. If you enjoy this content, you can help the channel out by smashing the like button. And if you're not yet subscribed, and about half of the viewers are still not yet subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button and you can hit the notification bell. So let's get going. Let's look at the first chart. We're going to start right off the bat with production for the month of September. Marathon is in first place right now by far. They produced 1,242 Bitcoin. Okay, so in a distant second is Cleanspark at 643, but Cleanspark is now solidly in second place several months in a row now as far as production goes. And I also would expect for the remainder of the year, the last 3 months of the year, I would think that Cleanspark will finish in second place for all 3 months of the year. Obviously, we got to wait and see what happens, but I think that's highly probable. Okay, in third place, moving up the list and continuing to move up the list is Bitdeer. Bitdeer mined 482 Bitcoin. That was solidly in third place. They're moving up the list for Bitcoin mined, for exahash. But at the same time, I want to caution everybody, their stock is absolutely crashing. Their stock's down about 75% in the last month, and it continues to drop, so I'm not sure what's going on there. This trade's on extremely low volume. We've talked about this many times on the channel. Just a caution, please be very careful. If you're considering trading Bitdeer, this is a highly, highly volatile stock. Cypher's in fourth place with 416. You see Bitfarms is right behind them with 411, so very, very close between the two of them. And Iris Energy at 390 is right there in the same ballpark. Riot for the last 2 months in a row now has chosen to divert their energy back to the grid because they are getting paid astronomical sums of money in the way of energy credits. They get more energy credits than all the other Bitcoin mining companies put together, and it's not even close. They mined another essentially 511 Bitcoin equivalents in the amount of energy that they gave back to the grid. Okay, then in 8th place is TeraWolf at 329 Bitcoin. 9th place is Hive at 270 Bitcoin, and then 10th place is Stronghold at 196 Bitcoin, so they fell under 200. The one that is not on this list that I'm just going to mention is HUT. HUT is still down around 100 or 110 Bitcoin mined in the month. I expect them to move back onto this top 10 list and probably knock Stronghold off the list, but that has not happened yet, so for the time being, they are not one of the top 10 Bitcoin producers on a monthly basis in the month of September. Okay, this is Bitcoin mined year to date, so very similar list. Core Scientific notwithstanding, Marathon is number one right now for all the Bitcoin miners on a year to date basis. They've mined 8,611 Bitcoin, and you can see when we looked at the month to date, they are by far in first place. Okay, in second place is Cleanspark. They're at 5,372 year to date, so that puts them just ahead of Riot, but again, I have Riot and purple here at just under 5,000 at 4,990. They're only just a few Bitcoin behind Cleanspark. And remember, they've amassed about $50 million in energy credits in addition to this 4,990 Bitcoin. So I do think it's important to put that in perspective. That does change the results based on how you view these energy credits. Okay, in fourth place is Bitfarms. So Bitfarms is at 3,692. Cypher is at 3,604. We'll see who finishes ahead by the end of the year. This remains extremely close. Then in sixth place is Iris Energy at 2,979. And then you're going to see a drop off from there. From there, we go down to Hive at 2,435. So that's about a 500 Bitcoin drop off. TeraWolf is almost neck and neck with Hive at 2,431. I would expect it's highly likely that either this month or next month, TeraWolf will probably move ahead of Hive on a year-to-date basis for Bitcoin mined. Then you've got Bitdeer at 2,395. And like I said, Bitdeer has been jumping up this list based on their monthly mining and the additional exahash that they are adding, and you're going to see that on the next chart. I would expect them potentially to pass TeraWolf and Hive, and they may even pass Iris Energy. We're going to have to see. So while there's only 3 months left in the year, this list right here, this year-to-date list, could have a lot of changes between now and the end of the year in the middle and towards the bottom of this list. So this is the one I'm keeping my eye on quite a bit. And then rounding out the list is Stronghold, and they are in a distant 10th. Okay, now we have Exahash. This is Exahash at the end of the month in September. You're going to see I have Core Scientific on here. Again, they're in chapter 11, but I want to include them for comparative purposes because I do think in 2024, they are likely to be out of Chapter 11. Marathon already has 23.1 exahash of machines in place. They're just waiting to get them energized. So for the time being, Marathon's at 19.1. That is first place by a mile. Riot is in second place at 10.9. Cleanspark's in third place at 9.6. Then you're going to see a drop-off. Bitdeer and Cypher are tied at 7.2 exahash. Then Bitfarms is at 6.1 exahash. Iris Energy at 5.6. TerraWolf very close at 5.5. And then there's a drop-off. In 9th and 10th, you've got Hive just under 4 exahash, and you've got Stronghold at 3.5 exahash. What I want to mention, I just want to spend 1 minute and talk about this chart right here, because several of these companies have some big plans already on the board, some big purchase orders already made. Marathon's on the verge of getting to their 23 exahash that they've been targeting for the last year now, so they should be there shortly. In addition to that, in this monthly operational update, they said that they will be putting an announcement out within the next few weeks for another 5 exahash. So that will take them to about 28 exahash. Riot has already put an announcement out to get to 20.7 exahash, and then with purchase order options to get them to 35 exahash over the next few years. Cleanspark put out a monthly operational update in the month of October for another 4.4 exahash worth of machines. That's going to get them over 20 exahash. And then Core Scientific not far behind. So those 4 companies have big plans. I will note Iris Energy, which is down the list at 7 right now. They're at 5.6 exahash. They also rolled out a plan to get themselves to 20 exahash. So that is their target, but that is a little bit different than the rest of the companies. They do not have these machines purchase ordered. They have the land in place and the power purchase agreements in place, but there's an awful lot of infrastructure, so they're quite a bit further away, but they're planning on getting to 20 exahash as well. We're going to take a look at the Bitcoin Network Difficulty level, and I'm going to jump over there right now. You're going to see we just had a few days ago an increase of 6.47%. So the difficulty level right now for mining a block of Bitcoin is at an all-time high. You're going to see this number's at 61 trillion. This number has doubled in about the last 14 months, so just a little bit over a year. It's gotten twice as hard to mine a block of Bitcoin. So effectively, that is the equivalence of a halving. In addition to that, I just talked about a significant amount of exahash that is coming online over the next 6 to 12 months. So this number is likely to go up even significantly from here. There's a lot of people talking about this number pulling back at the halving, but I think what they're missing is, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen at the halving. Some of these old machines are probably going to have to come offline, but prior to that, we still have 6 more months, and I expect this number to go up rather significantly in that 6 months. So it is getting more and more difficult for these companies to remain competitive. I think that's an important point. This ties into what I want to talk about next, which is the amount of Bitcoin hodled by each company. Here's 11/14/2021. That's where the difficulty level was when Bitcoin was at its all-time high. So it's now almost 2 full years later. The Bitcoin difficulty level has almost tripled. At the same time, Bitcoin's down almost 60%. The Bitcoin economics has changed drastically since its all-time high, and then really even since just 1 year ago. So that leads me to my next chart. I want to talk about Bitcoin Hodl Position. The Bitcoin Hodl Position chart, I think, is growing in importance, and the reason is what we just looked at. I believe that by the time the halving occurs, it is going to be very difficult for any of these companies to substantially change their hodl position. So to me, there's about 6 months left worth of time for companies to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, and then they're going to be fairly locked in. That's not to say that they won't be able to hold on to a few Bitcoin per month and continue to very slowly increase their position, but you're going to see there's 3 and there's actually 4 companies that will have separated themselves by the halving, and the rest of the companies I don't think have the ability to catch up for at least the next year, if not several years. So I'm going to go through what those 4 companies are. 3 are going to jump right out at you. Number 1, Marathon. They're at 13,700 Bitcoin. They're hodling quite a bit per month, so they'll be over 14,000 in the month of October in all likelihood. HUT, you're going to see, is still in second place, despite the fact that they've hodled very little this year. they were so far ahead of everybody that they remain having the second most Bitcoin on their balance sheet out of any Bitcoin miner. So they're at 9,366. Then in third place, you've got Riot at 7,327. They've chosen to take energy credits over the last couple of months, but I suspect that philosophy is going to shift. So I don't know this, but this is what I'm expecting. Again, this is not financial advice. This is my personal opinion. I'm guessing over the next 6 months, they are going to shift to try to add to this hodl balance and maybe get themselves up to 9,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that's not coming from any press release. That's not coming from anything that Riot has said. It's just coming from what I think is common sense. That's the move that, to me, makes the most sense for them to do between now and the halving. So even whether or not they do that, they're in a solid third place right now. The one other company that I do think is going to have a significant balance going into the halving is CleanSpark. CleanSpark's been holding on to almost all the Bitcoin they mine every month for the last several months, and it looks like they have the money to do so between now and the halving. So depending on exactly how this unfolds, they could have anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 Bitcoin by the time the halving comes around. Obviously, we don't know exactly what that number is going to be, but they're likely to put themselves in this group, and those four will have differentiated themselves. I'm just not sure how any company is going to significantly add to their hodl position really for the next probably 12 months after the halving. The one other company that I want to mention is Hive. I have them down here in yellow because this is 2 months in a row that they have not reported their hodl position. They had about 2,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet all year long. They stopped reporting that last month, so I don't know if they still have that, if they've spent it, but because we don't know and they're not telling us, I've left them on the list, but with a question mark, so I'm not sure where they're at. Basically, you'll see the next closest miner is BitDigital, actually, with 821. Bitfarms has 703. They will probably pass BitDigital before the halving. And then you have Cypher and DMG, and that's it. All the rest of the Bitcoin mining companies basically sell their Bitcoin when they get them. So this picture is getting very, very clear. It seems to me there's going to be a top 4 Bitcoin hodl companies as far as the Bitcoin miners go. Something significant would have to change between now and then in order for this situation to change. A very quick look at efficiency. This is basically the number of Bitcoin mined by exahash. All I want to say about this is Bitfarms and Hive essentially are tied for first almost every single month for the entire year. The difference between first place and 8th place is very little at this point. So most of these companies have done all they can to continue to try to increase their efficiency, and this is also crucial. Okay, lastly, very quickly, I just want to talk about why I think the Bitcoin miners have been struggling for the last several months. The last 3 months, the Bitcoin miners have had a very, very rough run. Most of them are down 40 or 50%. Some of them are down worse than that, 60, 70%. You're going to see down at the bottom in blue here, you're going to see March 17th, 2023, Bitcoin was at 25,000. Between then and October 19th, that is about a 7-month window of time. Bitcoin has gone basically sideways. It's had a very solid floor at 25,000. And basically, it's got up over 31,000 2 different times in that 7-month window of time. But you're going to see, even as we are here today, we're almost right in the middle of that range. So what's happened is, back on March 17th, there was still over a year left before the Bitcoin halving. So these miners had a lot of time. So I think investors viewed a lot more potential for Bitcoin to have a big run up between now and the halving. But now we're 7 months later, so more than 50% of that time has evaporated. We're about 6 months away from the halving right now. So I do think that people are getting concerned. There's a growing likelihood that we don't have a big run up in Bitcoin between now and the halving. And I think the Bitcoin miners are being punished for that. So I think unless and until Bitcoin can break out of this range, and you're going to see a blue line here, a light blue line at around 31,800. That was the high of the year for Bitcoin in the year 2023. That was in the middle of July. I do think unless Bitcoin can approach that line, the Bitcoin miners are going to remain having a struggle for the rest of the year. But if Bitcoin can approach that line or set a new high for the year 2023, then I do think there's the potential for the Bitcoin miners to have a big run up. Most of these miners could just about double just to get back to their 2023 highs. So we'll see what happens. That's for another video. I just wanted to put a little note at the end of this because as we've been talking about on the channel, the last 3 months has been extremely challenging as far as the price action on the Bitcoin miners. So I do think this is a big reason why. We've seen the underlying performance. So hopefully this helps put things in perspective. Again, none of this is financial advice, but hopefully these are pieces of the puzzle for you guys to use as you do your own due diligence. As always, please invest wisely. So thanks everybody for watching. That's what's going on with the Bitcoin miners this month. If you made it this far, please remember to to subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, hit the notification bell. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next video.